Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Al-Sayyid. I am one of the members of the Education Committee at the Syrian American Medical Society. And I would like to welcome everyone here for joining us on Saturday morning for this webinar. We have been doing this webinar, we have been doing this workshop for about like 15 years now. It all started in Chicago, and only few attendings who were willing to spend their time educating the applicant about interview skills, professionalism, and other aspects of the interview skills, and they were successful for many years. And in the last 4 to 5 years, we were able to expand it to 5 to 6 different cities every year. So we went to also Houston, Cleveland, New York, California, Detroit, and Cleveland, in addition to Chicago. And we had actually successful workshops. We were able to help hundreds, I would say, over all these years. And this year, this is a special year. So everything now is going virtual. So this is now a web-based interview skills workshop. And this is supported by the Syrian American Medical Society. And I would like to welcome everyone, including our speakers and all the applicants. I'm gonna give a brief introduction about the Education Committee for a few minutes, and then we're gonna move on to our speakers very soon. So the Education Committee, we have a vision that we would like to support the Syrian medical professionals in health education and research. And our goal by 2025, we would like to be the main online health education provider in Syria and support Syrian medical professionals in their journey to the United States. So our mission is to advance health education and health-related research in Syria to improve medical care. So who are we? We have about 20 members. Some of them, they have been advisors of the committee in the last few years, and some of them are active members who are participating in a lot of activities and projects. And some of them, they were the founders of this education committee who are still working with us in the committee. So we are a big family, and we always welcome more people if we can. And then what we do, we actually, our focus was in the past and still is residency related projects. We conducted multiple webinars and workshops in the past about how to apply to residency and the ERAS application process. And this year we have 3 major projects. The first one was the ERAS application and PS personal statement review project. And this has been going on very well. We have the applicant support program as well. And we have this web-based interview skills workshop. We used to have the hosting program in the last few years, but because of COVID and the change in the type of interviews that we are conducting now, everything now is going virtual. So this one is on hold. We also conducted many USMLE Step 1, Step 2 webinars. And also we had CS workshops in different cities in the United States before. We have also the SAMS scholarship for residency applicants. Those who are applying to residency, they can apply to this scholarship, and this will open maybe end of October or November. We also had the Step 3 scholarship, Syrian applicant who were not able to match last year. We offer them the option if they want to pass their Step 3, we would help them with a loan to pay for the exam fee. We also have the Avicenna Journal of Medicine, which is something that the Syrian American Medical Society is very proud of. And we have this journal for about 10 years now, and we have many issues, and also we also published a lot of articles. The most recent one was a couple days ago, and we published about 13 articles. 8 of them are original research, and 5 of them are COVID related. So I would encourage everyone to go and visit Avicenna JMed, and if you want to submit your article or if you want to become a reviewer, we would welcome that. We also had the Syrian Scientific Research Club, and in that project, we were able to provide evidence-based medicine education to Syrian students. The research building capacity in Syria, this is an ongoing project that we are hoping that it will continue to grow, and eventually we can reach our research capacity in Syria, where we are able to help students and residents to conduct research studies. So this is a picture from 2013 interview skills workshop in Chicago. And it's just amazing to see that all the applicants in this picture, now they are attendings. They completed their residency, they completed their fellowship. This is gonna be you in 5 to 6 years. You're gonna finish your residency and maybe fellowship, and then you will remember those days. However, this year it's virtual, so we will not have this picture, but we will keep that in our minds. And actually, those applicants, they went to cardiology, anesthesia, infectious diseases, internal medicine, and gastroenterology, and all of them are practicing attendings now. This is in 2014, another picture of the workshop, and this is in 2016. And we can see in the middle Dr. Tariq Al-Youssef and Dr. Basil Atasi, both of them, in addition to Dr. Shadi Lata, they have been in charge of the workshop in Chicago for a long time. So what is next? So I would encourage everyone to apply for the SAMS membership. Go to the SAMS website and apply for membership. You will get a discount if you are a student or if you are a resident. I also encourage you to visit the SAMS Education Committee channel on YouTube. You can just type in SAMS Education Committee and you will find our channel. We have more than 100 videos, and we have thousands of views on these videos. Most of them are related to residency. However, there are some, we have 3 courses, 2 of them in evidence-based medicine and 1 in academic writing. And I would encourage everyone to take these courses. We have also the Avicenna Journal of Medicine. You can subscribe to it so you can read it. It's every 3 months. And also you can submit your articles or become a reviewer. And at the end, I would like to ask anyone who would like to help us in the education committee to volunteer and work with us. And we are happy to have anyone who have the free time and the willing to participate in our projects to help us in the committee. So I would like to thank Wissam Kiwan and Abdul Qadir Sha'ar for their great and amazing work to make this webinar and this workshop happen. And I would like to thank also Jihad and Majid for their supportive work and to make this go smoothly. At the end, if you have any questions, you can always contact me to my email. It's mmsayed@hotmail.com. I'm happy to answer them, and I'll try my best to answer your questions about anything from residency-related questions or anything regarding the education committee. And then I would like to introduce. This is the list of the speakers for today. And first of all, we will have Dr. Tariq Al-Youssef, who is one of the founders of the Education Committee. And we have Badruddin Al-Hafidh, who have been a long-standing member of the Education Committee, and he has been involved in multiple projects in the past. And we have also Dr. Wissam Kiwan, who is an active member of the committee, and now he is taking care of the residency-related workshops and webinars. I would like to let's start with the first lecture. And I think, Wissam, we will start with Tariq.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to start with talks. Thank you, Mohammed, for the kind
Yeah.
introduction.
So
Uh,
Tariq, he is a graduate of Damascus University. He did his residency and chief residency at Cook County. He also did a cardiology fellowship at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. He also completed interventional cardiology fellowship at the University of Nebraska and Iowa Heart Center. And currently, he is the director of CCU and director of medical education at Cook County. Please, Tariq, go ahead, and thank you so much for joining us today and giving us some of your wisdom.
Tariq, I have the slides already pulled, so it's up to you if you would like to share them from your own computer, or I can skip through them, go through them here quickly. I also would like to add to the beautiful introduction that Mohammed gave is that everything we do is volunteer work. So that really adds, great depth to the work that Sam's education committee. I'm, one of the people who really learned a lot and benefited a lot. So we really hope that you guys are going to be able to help in the future. If you're ready, my friend.
Wissam, can you make me a host so I can manage presenters and co-hosts?
Sure, it depends on how much you're going to pay. Let me see if I can do that though. Okay, let's see. Tariq, we can see you now whenever you would like to unmute. And Mohammed, you are a host now.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Very good. Well, good morning, and thanks for everybody who's here, the organizers, the speakers, and interviewees, people who are seeking a residency in the United States, and hopefully you guys all get to achieve your goals. This is a very dear event to my heart, I have to say. It's been probably we've been conducting this since 2007 or 2006, and every year I get excited about being a part of this event. It's very special, and I kind of take it very seriously actually when it comes to it kind of reflects a new group of people who are gonna go get trained and go and save lives here in the United States, and probably sometimes in other countries, or even my home country, Syria. So welcome. I don't want to waste a lot of time. This is my preference would be actually we can kind of skip through slides, and I'll give you a few things that I've been asked to share. But I'm going to leave some time for your questions, because what really matters, I've seen over the years, that like it's not like a one size fits all. There are some general rules that are very simple that if you follow, you're going to be fine from professionalism perspective and from interviewing process perspective. But then there is a lot of personalization of the process. So feel free to jump in at the end of the talk and ask as many questions as you could. No matter how you think the how simple the question you think is. I would encourage you, if it's in your mind, just go ahead and throw it. Reason is the culture is very different, and things that we consider in our like back home a good thing to do sometimes are considered bad things to do here. The famous example that I always give is humbleness. Humbleness in interviews is weakness. You should not be you should not go to the extreme of being non-humble and try to talk about yourself and how great you are and stuff like that. But on the other hand, being humble, if I ask you, do you think you're ready to be a resident? And you say, oh, I don't know, I am I think I still have a lot to learn. I'm still at the beginning of whatever. This is you translate the Arabic way of kind of saying things, the Syrian way of being humble, and you cannot talk about yourself. That's very weak in an interview. and so on and so forth. So I'm going to talk about the professionalism when it comes to before the interview. I think Badr is going to cover during the interview, and let's kind of go over things. Very simple rules. I mean, there are literally 4 or 5 things that you just need to be aware of. We used to say before interview, and again, my focus is going to be purely before your interview day. And even though it sounds like, oh yeah, this is irrelevant or whatever, believe me, this is probably the most critical step in setting yourself up for a success during the interview. So we used to say, actually, in the old days, people, I used to tell them the major 2 or 3 things that you have to know is 1, respect time. And when I say respect time, I'm talking about like being meticulous about, oh, they asked me to arrive at 6:30 for a dinner the night before, and I said yes. Do not come at 7 or 7:30 or 8. Come at 6:30. And even though this is optional, you chose to say yes to joining the dinner or the meeting online. Now, for example, in my program now for the fellowship, we ask people to do actually a virtual meeting the night before, so they get to know the fellows and stuff like that. Don't arrive late. It reflects very bad. It kind of, people say, oh, he's not serious, or he's not interested, or he's not professional. He told us he's going to join sharp at 8:30, but he did not come until 9. You don't want to put yourself for a failure early on. A part of that is something that I really, really actually encourage you to put at the back of your mind. And that's a quote that says, you get the chance one time to form an initial impression. And that's very true. The initial impression, you get you get the chance to form it one time. And if your initial impression, if their initial impression about you is, oh, he's sloppy, he's late, he's not professional, that is going to take a lot on your side actually to change their impression about you. So respect time, very important. Issue number 2 is professional emails. There's nothing like hey or hi or whatever. Try to be very professional in your emails. And when I say professional, I'm talking about from the time of response again to knowing who the other side on the email is, and kind of tailoring the language to fit who you're talking to. Don't call a program coordinator doctor. Don't call the program director something like Mr. I mean, these are ridiculous mistakes that you should not be doing. And it rarely happens, but when it happens, it's catastrophic, because from the other side, there's nothing wrong with calling a man, for example, who's a program director, Mr. So-and-so, but they kind of unconsciously analyze the data as, oh, this guy does not even know probably that I'm the program director. He did not address me appropriately. So please pay attention to those small things. Take the time when they send you an email to understand actually who's on that email, who should I respond to, and how should I respond to them. Always spell check your emails. Always take a look at it. Be meticulous about it. Because again, the way it's interpreted, like, well, what's wrong with saying those candidates is great? I mean, or are without an E or something. Those small mistakes, so whether it's grammar mistakes or whether it's spell check mistakes, the way things are written. I'll tell you actually how it's interpreted, because I've been on the other side of the story. It's interpreted as, oh, this guy does not even bother. It's an obvious mistake, and if he read his email twice, he would have figured this out, but he did not, which means he's not serious. The guy is not serious. I mean, he does not care. He wrote the email probably in 2 minutes and shut the email just like that, which is a problem. Always include contact numbers when you write your email. Put your email, as a professional interviewer, put your email, put your contact information. Feel free to call me at, and put your phone number. That way they can, if they want to reach you for an urgent thing, they should be able to reach you. Examples include, a lot of people ask for I don't know, can you please send us an interview? And then we say, okay, it's a little too late because we already sent our interview, but we're going to put you on the mail list. If somebody cancels, we're going to send you an email. Well, guess what? When somebody cancels and they send you an email and you don't respond within, I don't know, half an hour, many programs actually, because usually it's like a last minute thing. So they want to send to another, they want to secure their spot as well. So they might contact somebody else. It does help them when they know that this is your cell phone or whatever, and we can call him. We can get to see if he's interested or not. Is he interviewing? Is he coming to see us? And so on and so forth. So please put your contact information there.
Tariq, you're able to see my slides, right?
I am actually. I have no control over them.
That's true. So just let me know whenever. I've been just going at my own pace based on what you're talking about. So just let me know if you want me to go faster, slower, or whatever you would like me to do.
Sounds good. Thank you. So the next point that I want to, so we talked about respecting time. We talked about the email part. I would encourage you strongly to respond to emails. It's like a sweet spot that you have to balance. But respond to emails no later than 24 hours, probably shorter. Don't take 2 days to respond to an email. Believe me, this creates a lot of, number one, anxiety. Number two, a feeling that this guy does not care. He did not respond. I can tell you from programs perspective, when we send an invitation, come and visit us, or we're happy to have you, etc. People respond within, I don't know, the email, I think. They have a written email, because some of them respond within 5 minutes with this long, beautifully constructed email that shows how excited they are about the opportunity and so on and so forth. So do that. Do something like get an email, a cliche, a kind of email ready that you can personalize, like fine tuning here and there. So the substance, the material is mostly there, and you can fill the gaps for, okay, this program is unique about this. Say in your email that, oh, I'm so excited because your program is this, etc., etc. Whatever you want to write in that email when you accept it. Same thing when they want to change the timing of the interview, or they want to, I don't know, change the something else, or they contact you for, make an effort to respond as soon as possible. Don't wait beyond 24 hours or more. Reflects very bad. And I can tell you, those coordinators, they have, I don't know, 1 million applications, a million applications, and they are not going to be, no matter how exciting you sound on paper and stuff, if they feel like, okay, this guy is not serious, they tell the program director, and the program director take their words for granted. I can tell you that much. So respond fast, but again, when you respond fast, and this is why I said it's a sweet spot, don't say something like, don't send it without even digesting what is in that information. Make sure you read it. Make sure that your response is very appropriate to what is being sent to you. So, create a balance. Respond fast, but don't respond too fast. And as I said, make sure no grammar mistakes, no spell check mistakes, none of that. I mean, that's something simple, easy to avoid. Next in line, and this is the next two are actually related, and I cannot emphasize enough. I've been saying this for years and years, and take my word on it. In general, we are not good interviewers. Not from our land. I mean, those guys, so for example, who graduate from some countries, they sometimes even get trained for how you interview, how you conduct yourself and stuff like that. We don't get any of that. So sometimes you get, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I get so excited about somebody on papers, amazing publications, amazing letters of recommendations. And I go into the interview and I'm like, this guy did not even, he does not look like he spent 5 minutes to train for interviews by himself. He's chaotic, his thought processes, he's jumping from right to left, he does not answer direct questions. My questions are not even tricky. Those are the common questions. tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And the guy is not able to conduct a good or construct a good sentence about how good or how bad he is or what are his weaknesses. Don't leave time for guessings. And my advice to you before the interview is practice, practice, practice. I cannot emphasize this enough. Believe me, it takes 5 minutes to know whether somebody did practice what he's going to say or he's not going to practice what he's going to say. And try this for yourself. And let's try this actually as a pilot kind of. You see, I'm talking to you today. I can tell you Wissam is going to talk and Badr is going to talk. And I can tell you, you will get a feeling about who prepared more than the others. You will get that feeling. Even you as an interviewee who probably you don't have much experience with like a lot of interviews and stuff, but you will be able to figure out that this guy is making things up or he's just getting this on the spot or he did not prepare this. As opposed to, oh yeah, this is a very well prepared presentation. The guy was nailing one point after the other, 1, 2, 3 point, and I, on purpose, kind of try to. Usually actually I do things a little different, but I wanted to try something for you guys to kind of filter out actually who did prepare, who did not prepare about this presentation, or. I think everybody prepared, but who prepared more? Who's obviously spent a lot of effort into this, and he knows exactly what his topic was and stuff like that. You will be able to filter out, believe it or not, despite the fact that we're supposedly experienced interviewers. So that's practice, practice, practice. Very important. And now practice. People used to come up with all bunch of excuses. Oh, I don't have anybody to talk to. Oh, I have. Well, guess what? Zoom is here. WebEx is here. I mean, and now the interviews are all online. I actually think that it is much more important to practice now than the old days because it is very hard to sell yourself. It's very hard to show my passion online. I mean, I'm trying to do my best here. There's this boring thing behind me. The lighting is not great. The interaction, I mean, there is minimal interaction between me and the other part of the interview. So it's very challenging to show that you are actually an exceptionally good candidate. That's why it is important actually to practice and practice on exactly how you're going to be doing your interview. The same computer, not sometimes an iPad, sometimes a computer, whatever equipment, you're going to use it again and again until you master what you're going to be doing in the interview. There's very minimal space for creativity during an interview. It should be like boom, 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 boom. I know exactly where I'm going with this. I know exactly what I'm looking. I know now, for example, you feel like I'm looking at you, as opposed to I'm looking now at the screen. And yes, you need to know even when you're where you're going to be looking. And I'm sure Badr and Wissam are going to cover actually the actual online interview. But practice, please practice. And the guys here today, I'm sure most of you guys are going to be in contact and kind of coordinate just like the old days. Make sure actually that you talk to each other and tell each other that I want to actually, let's do this together, and so on and so forth. The last part and that I want to talk about, and then we can go to your questions and input from the panel, is when a part of this practice, the single most evident mistake that I've seen, especially in the Syrian candidates that I've seen doing, is they throw a lot of things in their application they don't remember and they cannot talk about, and they might have done it. They might have لقاح بسويدة مدري بدير الزور مدري. Yes, that's a good volunteer experience and it's good and it's everything. But if I ask you what did you do during this, and you cannot answer, it's going to reflect very bad. It's where I'm going to be like, okay, this guy, he's telling me that he did this in this country and he helped the poor and he gave medications and stuff like that. And I'm asking him, what did he do? And the first thing he comes out of his mouth, well, this thing was a long time ago. Why did you put it in your CV if you don't think you can talk about it? Same thing for research. Oh, I've done my research about stomach cancer and I graduated and I did a publication of رسالة التخرج. Tell me about it. Oh, this was a long time ago. Cardiology was not in my interest. يا زلمة, no, come on, man. I mean, give me something. I'm trying to actually get something out of you. I'm trying to understand. I'm not quizzing you here. I'm trying to understand who you are, how you think, how you articulate your words. Can you talk about where you really actually a part of that publication, or are you just a name there because somebody wanted to help you? I want to, and that does not, when I see a name on the publication and I ask, were you a part of it, or what did you do, or etc., etc. I know many of the residents, for example, or people before residency they don't have like skills of research to the they might have some basic skills and stuff. So I don't expect you to tell me how you did a t-test analysis or whatever. No, I'm not expecting. I'm expecting that you understand what the project is and what was your role. So I know actually when I get you, I know that, okay, this guy, his background in research, he says he has like 5 applications, but his background is 0. I have to help him there. He's solid clinically, so we're going to focus on trying to build up his CV around the research, how to write, I don't know, observational data, analyze observational data, etc., etc. So that's the idea. Know your application and know it by heart. There is nothing. I can tell you, if I ask a fellow or a resident when I interview for medicine, if I ask somebody what is on that CV, something on that CV that he cannot answer in a good way, we can say something like, oh, my role in this was very limited. I did 1, 2, 3. Very good. Fair enough. You don't have to be the first publisher, first author on all publications. Very fair. That's a good answer. But if you say, oh, I don't even remember, but this was a long time ago, I had to do something, this is a bad answer. You got no, it does not matter even if you're scored 299 on step 1 and step 2 and step 3. It makes me question actually your integrity, your validity, your etc. So that's a part of your practice. I would strongly encourage you to know your application by heart. A part of that would be, or a variant of that would be actually to write down the answer to all the common questions and answer them. Like you don't have to second guess. Yes, tell me about yourself. I can tell you that you will be asked this question in 90% of the interviews. And this is your chance to throw things that is gonna drag the speech to wherever you want to. So I'll give you an example. If I tell you, I'm sorry, this is a mistake of note. You cannot do this, for example, in the interview. If I tell you, oh, tell me about yourself, and somebody answers, oh, I am from Syria. I had the chance to be educated in one of the biggest universities in the country, which is University of whatever, Damascus, Aleppo, Tashrin, Al-Ba'ath. And I graduated as the one that blah, 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 blah. And I scored very high on step 1, step 2, step 3, and then blah, blah. And however, I think my biggest achievement was saving a life of somebody who was in this place and and you give something, you throw something there, and then you keep going. I can tell you, most of the interviewers, this is we think that, oh yeah, this is a casual question. What do I say about myself? But this is your chance to throw things that you want to talk about. Don't throw something there that you don't want to talk about. If you know you're bad at research, don't throw there something like, oh, and I've done some research in this and some research, because people, when they hear those things, they are trying to pick up on stuff that they like and they want to talk about in your case. So in those cases, I would encourage you actually to throw something that you want to talk about. And coming back, I mean, again, this is a part of the interview process, but I want to emphasize here that it's all about the preparation. This is not during the interview. This is before the interview. You decided that I am going to talk about, these are the things that I want to talk about. I do want them to ask me about my experience with COVID. How much COVID patients did I treat back in Syria? How was COVID in Syria? throw something there. If you know how to talk about it, you have something interesting that kind of sells you as somebody who thinks outside the box, etc. You have something to add or very attractive idea that you want to share with them, throw it there. Prepare it, know exactly what to say, and throw it. Doing that, tell me about yourself, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to stop here. I do want, actually, I'm sorry, I don't know how much time I spent, but I hope I was not very long. I'm sure actually the more important part is yet to come. But I'm going to be happy to take comments from Wissam and Badr and Muhammad and whoever is otherwise the panel. If you want to add and fill the gaps, and then we're going to take questions.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much,
much,
Tariq.
Tariq.
It's always amazing to have you, Tariq. No, you're actually perfectly on time. I just have only a few other comments to add. There are a few questions on the comment, and Muhammad answered one of the questions regarding the timing of the interview invitations. And as we said, most of the times they happen during business hours, but rarely you could get them outside that. So be prepared, just have it on your phone. I also had an experience when I had it in the middle of the night. So that is one. So regarding the classic question about tell me about yourself, and here you guys are gonna hear different opinions on this. The key is preparation. And I cannot emphasize enough on what Tariq just said, that you really have to end with something that you want them to emphasize on. I personally end up talking about my family because I feel this is, a topic that everyone find it easy to talk about, and it's a friendly communication, connecting with the interviewer. So it's kind of an icebreaker. So the first purpose of this question is basically icebreaker, so that you guys get to know each other in the very first moments. And Tariq emphasized on the first impression, which is super important. And the second thing is, hey, you guys, this is a question that you should be prepared to. So if you're already doing bad on that question, then that's a red flag. And number three, you guys are, you should keep in mind that the interviewers are often very busy. A lot of them have many applications to go over before the interview. They probably, some of them spend more time, some of them spend less time. But a big majority of them maybe spend 10, 15 minutes on each application. So basically don't necessarily have a lot of time to go over the application. And they were assigned to have your interview by the program director. And then they end up, wanting to learn as much as they could about you within this question. But again, don't make it a quick, long question. I always get the question during the workshops. Should I answer 5 minutes to answer this question? Well, obviously 5 minutes is too long, but you have to tailor this based on the tone of the interview. If you're seeing that the interviewer is kind of interested in what you're saying, and they're showing the body language that suggests that they are listening to you carefully, they're liking what you're saying, then keep expanding on the area that you would like to focus on. If you think that they're not very interested, or you think that it's not really going the right way where it's supposed to be going, then maybe you should slow down, and maybe you should stop, not abruptly, but stop at some point that you want them to ask you about. So this was, regarding the tell me about yourself. So yes, be prepared and write your answers before, and you can, exchange thoughts and with people who had experience with the match before, attendings, residents, fellows, but also with candidates, that see what the opinions are. You're not going to get one single answer, but that is to be kept in mind. Mohammed, do you have any comments on that?
No, actually, you guys covered everything. Badr, do you have anything?
I don't know if Badr has joined. Is he with us now? He's probably seeing patients right now. He'll probably join us shortly.
I see him answering questions on the chat, so I think he's busy on the chat.
Okay, well, that's good that he's here then. Yeah, thank you very much, Badr.
Okay, good. So I think one of the questions, actually, that's really good. If you guys can help with that, is it a bad sign for the applicant to memorize the answer, so they will know what you have memorized the answer, like they will be able to recognize that, or wouldn't it be better to be natural? So how much do we prepare and how much do we memorize? What do you think, Tariq?
100% memorize, 100%. What the difference though is there is a difference between memorize. You memorize وتيجي تسمع and memorize and تيجي تمثل. You're gonna memorize and تيجي تمثل. Yeah, memorize and act. مو memorize and يعني إذا هيك بدك تحكي no, don't memorize. يعني I can tell you, I have not seen yet a foreign grad who comes in and not يعني إنه والله ما نو يعني إنه and did what يعني لأنه ما فينك ترتجل. Yeah, this is not your native language. It's you have to. These guys pay attention. There's always one of your interviewers. I can tell you, for example, in Cook County, there's one of the interviewers in the cardiology fellowship program who's her only job is to find out how many grammar mistakes you've made, how many blah blah blah. Are you performing at the level of a fellow? When you talk to, this is a fellow. Fellow is a big deal. He cannot make mistakes. He cannot articulate things in a. This is her passion, and this is what she filters out. So no, there is no room for guessing. There's no. You memorize everything. Obviously, there are going to be questions that you're going to be asked, and you have to come up with something. If you're a tool in a kitchen, what would you choose? Sure, yeah, go ahead and ارتجل لك شي شغلة بس. It's outside that, the usual questions you really have to memorize, but act. Please don't go like monotone and don't be boring. يعني you try to act. Give it a up and down and لا تشوفر كثير. أنا بشوفر كثير, so but you should not.
Wissam, for the sake of time, do you want to start your lecture and then we can have more questions after yours?
تمام. شباب, كمان I will remind everyone that there will be a wrap-up question and answer session. It's going to be 90 minutes after the last day of the workshop. So we're going to have to minimize questions today, and we'll please keep the questions, and you will have more and more generated questions during your mock interviews. A few other things that I have to go over here very quick, that, also be prepared for an interesting case way in advance. And I will talk a little bit more about what makes an interesting case if we have time to do the mock interview, me and Tariq. But otherwise, interesting case does not have to be rare, does not have to be a condition that happens 1 in a million. An interesting case is basically an invitation by the interviewer to express to them what exactly it makes you interested. Is it something ethical in the case? Is it something knowledge-wise, medical knowledge and thorough assessment of the patient? Does it have to do with the communication skills and connecting with the families and the patient and stuff like that? So spend time choosing your interesting case. I hate to say this, but I also had the question quite often during the workshops in the past that, what about making up cases? That is a tricky one. I am telling you, I'm honest here. I did my medical school during the crisis in Syria. At that time, we had minimal actual rotations. We didn't end up seeing, patients as we were supposed to do. And I did have a basic case that I did see before, but kind of added some spices to it per se. But when you are doing that, you need to make sure you're doing your good research on such cases, and the medical terminology, just like you're presenting the case, but not spending an hour presenting that case. And then, the typical question about why should I take you in my program? We often get this question during interviews from time to time. So think of this question, be prepared for that. And of course, you're going to be asked about the strengths and the weaknesses. You always want to mention, if it is related to the weakness, what the weakness is, and what is your plan to overcome the weakness? What you have already done or what you are planning on doing. You just don't want to mention that I am so weak now, but also when you're in this or that part. But when you're mentioning the weakness, we always also get the tricky question about, should I say my weakness is that I'm so obsessed with the details? They're also, the interviewer is smart. So don't mention a strength covering it with a weakness. In my own opinion, I think it really should be a weakness, but also be honest on how you're overcoming the weakness. What's your plan for that, and so on and so forth. In general, guys, another major difference between the Arabic culture and the Western culture is that in our culture, we don't give the answer right away. We like to go up and down and right and left. This doesn't work in English. In English, in an English conversation, you have to give the answer right away, followed up by example. So if it is a yes/no question, you're given the yes/no answer, adding some examples. Or if a question about some certain situation, you're given the answer right away and then adding details and explanation. Also, think about, would you see yourself in X number of years? And you also have to think about tailoring the question based on whether you are in a major academic center or you're maybe in a, interviewing in a small community program or something like that. Tariq really talked about all of this. So if you're not ready, so it's still early for you guys. So you can change your applications, your ERS application. If you don't think that you can talk about certain aspects of your application, don't put it there. I wasn't, I had that experience before that during my fellowship application that I put something that I even forgot about. That doesn't work this way. You should be prepared to talk about every single detail in your application. And that's what I said, if it was something that you were involved to a limited extent, mention that and mention what your role was. Pretty much covered this next point. So keep in mind that what they're doing during the interview is to assess the communication skills. They're not assessing your accent. Almost all of us does have accent. That is not the problem. The problem is the fluency of thoughts. You don't have to talk fast. You have to talk clear and loud enough. So that's why practice is important, especially for IMGs. But even AMGs spend a lot of time. And I have interviewed many AMGs who performed poorly because it was very obvious that they didn't really prepare. So that the fluency of language and fluency of thoughts are two important things. And you can, do better if you practice and practice. And then you might have to address potential red flags in the application. That could be the time to talk about during the interview. And they would like also to assess how you perform under stress, because more or less it's a stressful event. It's not, a chill thing to do to have an interview, but also the more relaxed, the more confident, the better the outcome is. It's easy to say, but just, think of whatever makes you more confident. Think of a presentation that you gave in the past, your involvement in previous lecture. Think of something that makes you kind of more and look more confident during the interview. Very rarely we get medical questions. What can you do for that? Well, there are a few of them that ask about common diseases such as management of CHF, DKA, COPD, the very common bread and butter inpatient management of internal medicine. That's for internal medicine candidates. But that's really very limited, and you can just go and start reading, preparing for step 2 again so that you're prepared. But at least you should focus on using medical terminology. And usually the questions that are asking are not really the very difficult questions. But again, that's very limited. Okay, during the interview, I just mentioned this. Note that Tariq, Muhammad, and me are not using monotone. The tone should be going up and down based on what you're saying. Don't make it boring. Make everyone interested in what you're saying. Loud enough, but not too loud. And that's why practicing is important, trying to use the same platform that you're going to be using for the interview itself, so that you know how the voice should be. Body language is useful, but don't exaggerate. Don't overdo it. And then, so we always get this question from time to time. It's very difficult. We, as human beings, have a tendency to just look in the eye of the presenter or the interviewer or the other person that we're talking to. The problem is, if you're looking in their eyes, which is the screen here, you're basically looking like as if you're looking below, because you're not looking at the camera. So my suggestion is that to try to alternate between looking at the camera and looking at the person that you're talking to make it as personal as possible. I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing a good job at that, but this is one thing I'm working on. So learn about the pronunciation of the faculty that you are meeting with. Most of the times you are going to know who you're going to be meeting with. So know about their names pronounced, and use that during the interview. That's a good sign. That means you spend more time, and also that makes it more personal. It's just in the unconscious mind that person is really connecting with me at some sort of unconscious level. If you're not sure, don't mess it up. If you don't know how their 15-letter last name is said, just don't use it. You can just say doctor, and that should be good enough. Aside from that, you want to use the interview, not the interviewer. So use, so this is regarding generating questions so that you can ask them. So see what they're focusing on their website. Sometimes they have some sort of a lecture or presentation in the morning. And during that presentation, they're going to tell you about this or that project that they just started talking about. Or they're going to talk about the residents' involvement and so community outreach or something like this. So see what they seem to be proud about and have a genuine question that you can ask. Your aim during the interview is really to show how confident you are, respectful, stay calm, but confident. Be honest, but also, smart when you're answering these questions. Never interrupt the interviewer. They might interrupt you. They rarely do, but never ever interrupt the interviewer. Even if you're kind of extrovert, a few of us are, and you have a tendency to answer them fast because your train of thoughts is fast or something like that. Just hold on and wait until they finish and then ask them or add comments or answer the question, whatever the situation is. Take notes using pen and paper. And show them that you're using a pen so that they know that you are interested in taking notes. And actually, this is also important because that means, you are keeping, writing down information that 3 months later or four months later, you will need to use so that you can put your programs in order. Even if you have only one single interview, do that because that reflects good on you. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the types of interviews. So some of them are structured, meaning that Muhammad, Tariq, Badr, and Jihad all have some certain of questions, whether behavioral, general, or situational, and they have some sort of scoring system, and they kind of have a guide into what they're supposed to be asking. They might even be provided with some sort of training. So also keep in mind that not all interviewers have the same skills. Some interviewers are very new at that, and some interviewers are extremely skilled. Some of them like to talk more than listen, and some are the opposite. So tailor your experience based on what you're facing then. Some interviews are just mostly open-ended questions, unstructured questions, kind of unstructured format, and there is plus and minus in each of them, but just keep that in mind. Some of them are panel, meaning that during the interview, just like now, there will be 5 people interviewing you. That means one after the other will be alternating. And I think that more or less the more common style is the one-on-one. So you'll interview with one person and then that will be switched to another one. I just touched based on the general questions or the types of questions. So general question is like, tell me about yourself, your strengths and stuff like that. Behavioral questions really has to do with experiences and skills that you have had and how you've gained them. So basically stuff that are very related to your own individual personal experiences in the past and how they were developed and stuff like that. Situational questions are hypothetical. Many interviewees, many applicants feel that situation questions are meant to be more challenging just because you can't prepare for them. One example would be, the example that I always give is, who would be your favorite patient? So they're just asking you who, so sometimes they have an answer in their mind they want you to answer, but that is not the goal of the question. The question is, again, to see how you're going to perform under stress. I had such a question during one of the interviews. I'm like, oh, okay, I knew that such a question would be coming, or that's a very interesting one. Let me think about it for a second. So you're filling the gaps while you're thinking, and then it doesn't have to be right and wrong. For example, for that hypothetical question of who your favorite patient is, you don't want to see my favorite patient is my patient who is basically listening to what I'm there telling them, or when I give them the medication, they would take them or stuff like that. Your favorite patient is whoever coming to see you, because you should not, as one of the basic rules of medicine is that you should not discriminate between patients. So justice is one of the main parts. So you basically have to think in the situational questions, what do they have in mind? Why are they raising this question? What could be the clue here? But sometimes there's really no answer, no right answer. For example, what's your favorite color and why that is the case? So they're just, having conversation with you. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's right or wrong there. Another hypothetical question could be, okay, so you have noticed a mistake that your co-residents keep repeating all the time. How would you approach that? And your answer should be in the line of, well, it depends on what kind of mistake that it is. I can try to approach them, talk to them. I could, then if I don't feel that patient safety is a priority by this person, then I'm going to raise it up to the senior resident or stuff like that. So again, if many of these questions don't necessarily have to do what exactly the content of the answer is, but a lot of it has to do on how you're answering it. One very experienced interviewer, faculty in my institution always says, when I ask them, maybe that's an extreme example, but that's what she said. It's like, when I ask them, what I hear they're saying is blah, 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 blah all the time. I really don't hear the content of it. I just pay attention to how they're saying it. Again, this is an extreme example, but really this information, the way you are delivering the message or the way you are answering the question. So what about, do you have any questions for me? The rule is you should always have a question for them. Here is one exception to this. If you have already interviewed with 4 people and you're interviewing at 4 p.m. with person number 5 and you have asked every single question before, I don't personally think it's a bad idea to say, you know what, I really think that I really have a very good understanding from what Dr. So-and-so has answered me so far and all the useful information that is mentioned on the website. I hope you're okay with me sending you any questions by email. They're like, oh yeah, absolutely, that's fine. And then that's usually a nice way. And then their interviewer is finding it, as a happy end, a nice way to finish the interview. But most of the times you should have 1 to 3 questions. But the more the genuine, the truly interested you are in knowing the answer, the better the message that you send and the better how you look. So if there's some sort of information that's already highlighted in the website and you're asking that same question again, that just means that you didn't read the website. So please don't do that. Just mentioned that you should probably have 1 to 3 questions in mind and tell your questions based on the position of the interviewer. Are you interviewing with a program director, one of the faculties, one of the residents, a chief resident? So be mindful of that. So aside from that, so a few questions that most of the times are good based on the situation are questions that include what keeps you in the program. You mentioned so and so in the presentation. What was your residents' reaction to them? So that means that you're really paying attention to what have been said and what they're interested in. How do you evaluate your residents? If you think that the program is not really very well structured per se to provide feedbacks, maybe then you don't want to ask this question, but show interest. Even if you have 10 or 15 other interviews, if you have already decided to do this interview, then you really should be there. You should be involved in the process. We get this from time to time during residency or fellowship season, that we have people who come who really have no interest in the program whatsoever, and I can already tell that they have 1,000 other interviews. Then don't come, you know what I mean? So don't do that. If you're here, that means you're considering the program, then invest in your interview and do your best. All right, so with that being said, I will hand the mic to Bedr right now. I don't know, I know there are a few questions, but we'll probably have to answer them Let's go over on web-based interviews preparation with Badr. I'm sure he has a lot to share. I just want to add here that Badr is currently involved in interview process, virtual interviews for his cardiology fellowship. I'm sure he's doing an amazing job. He's been involved in this workshop for a while now. So Badr, whenever you can unmute yourself. In case you are talking, I cannot hear you. The other option is, as we talk, I know it's a challenging from your end. I can call you and put you on speaker.
I think it will be better if, because for the recording, just for the sake of the recording.
For sure, that's true. And the quality of the voice.
I think he logged out. He was on, but he logged out. I think he's going to come back again.
Right, he's trying to log out. In the meanwhile, I don't know if you, Mohammed and Tariq, if you'd like to fill in anything that I missed, or you have different opinions or anything like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think when you talked about like, do you have any questions for me? I personally, I take it like as a positive thing if you ask me a question. If you ask me a question, I think that's the best. If you ask me too many questions, that's not good. I would say 1 to 2 questions, that would be great, as long as you have time. And now actually you have the time. You can see actually the timer. You can see the timer if you still have like 2 minutes left or 5 minutes left. So you can always like see if you have time, ask 1 to 2 questions, especially to the program director. Like ask them 2 questions. That would be great. If you don't ask any questions, for me, I feel like this is a negative thing. That means that you're not prepared. Especially like in the virtual interviews, because now you're not able to see the hospital, you're not able to see the people. So you should have more questions than before. Right. So now you are not asking the person a question. That means that, oh, I know everything about the program. Well, then I don't think that's the case, like, because most people, they don't know, especially like on virtual interviews. So there's always something that you should be able to ask. And don't be afraid of asking the same faculty the same questions. That's absolutely fine. But make sure that you tailor your questions to the person who interviews you. Like the questions to the program director are different from the questions to the faculty members, different from the questions that you ask the residents. So for example, like I asked the residents about like, oh, how do you like the city? How do you like the hospital? Did you, if you have to change something in your program, would you change anything? That's to the residents. But if you want to ask the program director, you can ask them, for example, what are you looking for in a candidate or in a resident at your program? What are you looking for in a candidate? So that's one thing actually you can ask. And then when they tell you, oh, I'm looking for someone who has a great clinical experience and blah, 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 then you can say, well, I actually have this and I have this. I have high scores in USMLE. I have a good clinical knowledge. I actually like practiced in this and this, and I have great communication skills. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to end the conversation with actually talking about your strengths.
Right. Mohammed, for the sake of time, thank you very much for the input. Yeah. I think Badr is now going to be able to log in with us. If you can just make him the host. I don't think I can make him the host now since you are, and then he should be able to join.
You're not connected by audio, by the way.
I do see co-host.
Yeah, but he's not connected by audio. He's just connected. Audio, right? Yeah, you are not connected by audio. Yeah.
Okay, let's go over some other questions. Let me see here. What else do we have, guys? You were driving the chat here.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you better. Great. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, can you see it now?
Yep.
Awesome. I think so. First of all, thank you guys. I've been on for a while, but since I've been having some technical difficulties, I was just participating on chat. I think it's just ironic that I'm talking about the web-based interview part and I'm having the technical difficulties. It just shows you that it happens. All right, so for the sake of time, we're gonna start. So first of all, this is just gonna come up everywhere. All the interviewers is gonna be like, oh, it's difficult for us to meet. So it's just kind of like an opportunity also to chit chat with the fellows or about that, like what the COVID situation and the virtual interviews. So first I'm gonna talk about is how you prepare before the interview. So number one, triple check the itinerary. So you're gonna get, depends, there's different ways from different programs. Some will send you like calendar invites, some will just send you like a PDF with links. Whatever it is, just check it, make sure you have all the links, make sure you have the time zone ready. You can click on the links to try them out before the interview, it's fine. Just gonna tell you the meeting hasn't started. Make sure you have the coordinator phone number for in cases some technical difficulties, and make sure you have the right applications. So, and the panel can correct me, but I think most common are Zoom and Microsoft Teams. And there are some software like some use Telemus like we did. But really there's, I think I've had like 5 different software that I had to use. Just make sure you download everything, everything's working correctly. Choose a quiet setting. Apparently, you know, make sure if it's at home, make sure that there's no kids, there's no neighbors. Obviously emergencies can happen, but you can prepare as much as you can. Fix your lighting, meaning you would want to have a well-lit well-lit room, but also you can light, you can put a lamp light on the desk. I wish I was at home, I could show you my setting, but test that your lighting, make sure that you have a well-lit room, and prepare a simple backdrop. This could be as simple as you have the table, there's like a wall behind you with a small picture, frame picture, or sometimes like a small plant. Doesn't have to be elaborate, but make sure it doesn't distract from you because you're the important part of the interview. Something I learned the hard way is make sure your chair is comfortable because you're gonna sit there for like 3 or 4 hours. Unlike real interviews, you don't walk a lot, so you're gonna start shifting your chair and moving a lot, and that doesn't look great. Make sure that you have the technical stuff taken care of. So test your camera. I personally, actually, all our laptops have cameras in them, but I still bought a separate camera because I'm invested in the interviews and I paid a lot for the ERAS application. So I might as well pay like another $50 for a nice camera. Make sure your connection is working well. Cable is preferred. If it's Wi-Fi, make sure nobody else at home is like using it to stream stuff. And obviously, make sure sometimes the laptop or the PC can like crash if you have so many things open. So it's small stuff, but again, like if it slows the interview, that wouldn't look too good. Disable the notifications on the computer and silence your phone. But keep your phone next to you, and I'll talk about that in a second. And rehearse. So after you prepare all that, call a friend or family on Skype or Zoom and just test it out. Tell them like anything distracting in the background, anything looking off, go from there. All right, so the next part, during the interview, make sure that you're positioned in the middle and you're facing, I know this sounds silly, but again, if you're not, it kind of looks off. Do not type on the keyboard during the interview. That can be louder than you think. And don't use your phone. If you need to write something, write it on a piece of paper. Look at the camera, not the screen. Now, Wissam touched on that. In my opinion, the trick is where you position your camera. Now, if it's a laptop, you don't have a lot of control on that, but if your camera is in the middle of on top of your screen, which most laptops have, and you look at it, you you should be able to see the interviewer and look at the camera directly. Make sure you treat the virtual interview just like a real one. Don't do anything that you would not do if this person was right in front of you. You know, facial expressions and everything obviously are stressed. All right, technical issues, stay calm. Follow the instructions if provided. Almost all the programs will mention something like, if there's a problem, this is the number to call or talk to the coordinator, because the coordinator is your friend. They may offer alternatives like FaceTiming or WhatsApp video or phone calls. This happened to me once. I think the coordinator sent wrong links to me and the interviewers, and like the time was running out, right? We have 15 minutes, and like after 5 minutes, the program director just called me. We did the interview on the phone, and it was fine. I think this is an important to kind of be mentally prepared, because they will see how you react. Just like you know, in a political settings and emergencies happen, you react. You know, you'll see how you react to emergencies. And that's all I have. Panel, anything you want to add?
Thank you very much, Badr. Just like what you said, they've used all the platforms that you can think of, including, believe it or not, I had an interview on WhatsApp. So the person, I had the phone on mute. They didn't tell me that was on WhatsApp. It was supposed to be FaceTime. And I was just waiting because I had it on mute and disabled all notification. The interviewer was calling me for 15 minutes and I wasn't reaching them. And then I called the coordinator after 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, they said, "Oh, we've been looking for you. We thought you're not here." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Of course, I didn't say that, and then the guy interviewed me from his car while he was driving home. So hopefully you learn from my mistake. But aside from that, mistakes will happen. Remember that this is not only new for you, but it's also new for the programs. So the programs are learning this, almost all of them. By the way, some ER programs, orthopedic programs have been doing this. It's almost completely new to most internal medicine programs. Thank you very much, Badr. Muhammad, Tariq, do you guys have any other input on this? I don't know, Tariq, have you guys started your interviews, the visual interviews for cardiology at your program?
We actually are almost done, so one more day.
Oh, way to go. Good for you guys.
One thing I noticed, so actually it's interesting when you have like a group session, when there's like, you can see all the interviewees. It's interesting. You can tell who has like a bad, this might sound weird, but you can tell who has a poor resolution camera. So the way I think about it, you've been working on your CV for God knows how long, 3, 5 years, 10 years. And you're wearing your nice suit and like you're prepared everything. And then they're gonna look and see like a very terrible resolution picture. It could be, I might be, overdoing it. But again, I think taking care of aesthetics is a nice touch. Something also I noticed other applicants are doing. If you are currently in a university, they're doing research or something, some universities in preparation for this virtual interviews actually they can like lend you a room in the library, and they have like nice computers and nice cameras and like quiet setting. You can just book it for the time of the interview. I don't know. I haven't looked at the chat. Any questions we have?
So what about the length of the interviews, Badr?
The longest I had was a panel interview of 25 minutes with 3 people. The shortest was 15 minutes. That's about the average time. I don't know if in your experience, what was it like?
Yeah, it was quite similar. This is in the range of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Most programs are still doing what they're comfortable with, the same thing, same format, the same number of interviewees. They didn't increase the number of, and I don't know if you guys touched on this before I joined you, but they didn't increase the number of interview invitations. They're still interviewing the same number. They're still having the same number of faculty, because whether it's virtual or real, the faculty doesn't have a whole lot of time to interview. So they like, you know, so if the program was used to interview 4 people, you're still going to interview 4 people. Another thing, I don't know if you guys talked about that the number of the virtual interviews made it more competitive for us, IMGs, because we are used to sending to like 100 plus 200 programs. American grads don't do that usually. Now they're doing that too. So even like smaller programs are getting way more than they like record numbers of applicants. So I encourage you to apply widely if you're not doing that already.
Absolutely.
And that's my time. You can take the screen off, but I'm gonna stop sharing. Thank you.
I think Bayan Isa, she's one of the residents in pediatrics. She would like to share a few comments. I think we have like a couple minutes. If Bayan would like to unmute yourself and give us some advice.
Yeah, thank you, Bayan. I would also like to add that if there are any other interviewers here with us, there will be another session that we really would appreciate if we can get as many of you guys as possible on the other session, question and answer, because that will be basically also mostly your session to comment on your experience with interviews. Go ahead, Bayan.
Do you hear me well now?
Yes.
Awesome. So first of all, you did an amazing job. I just want to point out some stuff. For the background, I will try to be very natural. So whatever your background, don't like put like, for example, rainbow flag or anything. I have like interview and so like some nude picture or something. So be careful very much about your background, especially if it's Rome, make it tidy. The other thing I just want to make sure when you get the invitation, and usually they send the eternity a day or two before, do your homework. Read about every single one who's you are interviewing with, see what research they are doing, prepare a question for them. If they have time, I will like, for example, if I know this is a cardiologist, I will ask him about one of the recent research he did, and they will be amazed and they'll give you like feedback. Oh, you search about us and you look like interested. So search about the program, search about the city, see where their resident go after that. And it's very common to ask them where their resident go after the residency. And if you are interviewing with certain person, search about them and do your homework about the people you are interviewing with. It's very important for me. For virtual interview, it's very important to have like very good lighting. It should be like your camera should have like showing your shoulder and head and a little bit space. So it's not too far away so they can barely see your face, and not very close that your face look like so huge in front of the camera. Your background quite is very important, and multiple like I'm interviewing right now for fellowship, and I have comment from my attending who interview for fellowship in our programs. That's what I'm trying to summarize. I know politics and family is not common question. However, they will ask you. I'll guarantee you at least one of the program who will ask you. So prepare natural, very political, polite answer. Coming from Syria, they will ask you how the war affects your they want to make sure you don't have PTSD, to be honest with you. And they will have like, at least I have found one person ask me about coming from Syria and how does that affect me. Prepare for this question and prepare for some political and kind of family question. It's not common, but at least you will find someone. I say prepare just to give like neutral answer and not to be surprised during your interview. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bayan. We truly appreciate that. So I'll ask the panel here, what do you guys think? We had two options. We could either go over a few more questions and we have to finish in about 4 minutes, or we can do a quick mock interview to see how bad we are going to be performing in front of everyone.
I'm going to say very small comment follow up on what Dr. Bayan was saying. It's excellent. I completely agree with everything you said. One small thing I actually, and again, hopefully when next week when we do the mock interviews, you guys will see it. But I prepared I hung my daughter's pictures and stuff a couple of times. People are like, oh, I see your family's pictures, like you have a baby, whatever. And like, and that alone, you know, you connect with them. One time, like I talked to someone about photography. I'm like, oh yeah, there's my camera. I have it like back here. You see it? It's like, and we start talking about photography stuff. So, yeah, definitely. Prepare your backdrop. Actually, I started looking up what YouTubers do for their backdrop. It was very nice.
I think the first interview will start, I think, in 5 minutes. So I don't know. Do you?
Can I ask a question quickly? Can you walk us through, as an interviewer, are we staying in Zoom or what are we doing?
Sure, Abdul Hakim, there should be the link to Thalamus, where when you go through Thalamus, you should be able to go to the My Schedule, and under My Schedule, you should be able to find the interview, and that's where the link is. I don't know if...
Okay, thank you.
I think
The platform for the interview is Thalamus, is not here.
it is Thalamus, it's not Zoom, correct. Thank you for reminding us.
So I think I'm going to stop the recording, give our applicants and interviewers like few minutes so they can prepare for the interviews, and please go ahead and log into Thalamus and look at your schedule. And just a reminder that at the end of the 4-day workshop, which is going to be next weekend after Sunday, like on Sunday evening, we will have another session also for questions and answers for post workshop.
Yeah, it is going to be the 25th.